Okay, so I think most of the peoples are here from your division, and few are joining. So I'll just giving the recap over here that what we had discussed in our last session. So in the last session, in the chapter number 2, we discussed about the magnetism, and I hope you getting the mid sem 1 syllabus which I already posted in the WhatsApp group as well as in the Google Classroom. So just prepare along with that. So in the last session, we discussed about certain parameters about the electromagnetics, right? So can you tell me that what topic we had discussed in the last session, if you remember? You can use the chat box section also. See, in the last session, we discussed about certain parameters of the Faraday's law, if you remember, and electromagnetic induction. So what do you mean by electromagnetic induction? And we are using this circuit diagram. I hope you remember, right? This thing we discussed in the last session, right? Yes or no? Just say yes or no in the chat box section so we can go ahead. But if you sit ideally, yes, Viswajit. Okay, so in the last session, we discussed about this electromagnetic induction principle, and which shows that you have electromagnetic field direction, and if you put the conductor in this electrical field, the induced EMF will be there in the conductor, and that we can identify using this galvanometer when we connect it across the terminal of the conductor. So the phenomenon by which the EMF is induced in the circuit when the magnetic flux linkages or flux linking with the coil, and that coil changes, that means when the conductor you have in the rotating motion, then you can say that it will be, you will have a electromagnetic induction principle. Now after that we discussed that the deflection we measure in terms of the galvanometer, right? And the direction of the induced EMF in the coil, which is depending upon the direction of the magnetic field and the direction of the motion of the circuit. So that we will identify using this picture, and that is nothing but you can say that we identify using this uh, diagram, as well as we discussed in the last session about the Faraday's law, first law. This law, which is stated that whenever the magnetic flux linking with the coil changes, the EMF is induced in it. So, and the second sentence given here, that whenever a conductor will cut across the magnetic flux, an EMF is induced in the conductor. So this two sentence along with this we discussed in our last session. I hope you remember that thing. Now, then after we discussed over here about the second law. Now, second law stated what? That this law of second law, it is stated that the magnitude of the induced EMF in the coil or the circuit is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux linkages. So it is indicating the another sentence also here, that it will be the product of the number of turns, that is capital N, and the rate of change of flux linking in the coil. So that you can say that N into d phi by dt, that is you can say that the number of turns and the rate of change of flux linking in the coil. So that we will identify also using the derivation or mathematical expression here. So this notation, which is actually indicating over here that capital N, which is right now, it is indicating what? The number of the turns in the coil. Then phi 1, that is you can say that the initial flux linking in the coil at the starting purpose or in the starting. Then phi 2 is equal to the final flux linking in the coil. So you may assume that this final flux, it is in the manner of that maximum you will get the flux linking with the conductor. The time taken, that is we identify here in terms of in the small t, how much time we require, right? Then the initial flux linking or initial flux linkages, that is we call the psi component we can see here. So that is it denoted n into phi 1, so it is psi 1. That is, you can say that it is the initial flux linking flux linkages psi 1 component, and that is denoted over here n into phi 1. N, that is your number of turns, that is fixed you have. And final flux linkages, it is equal to psi 2, and that is equal to n into phi 2. So these are the two parameters we require. Now, according to the statement, we are going to consider here the equation now for the induced EMF, which is proportional to that whatever the flux linkages you have with respect to time. So what we are doing, according to the Faraday's law or second law of electromagnetic induction principle and statement, whatever it is given in the previous slide, E is equal to, or E is proportional to the flux linkages of final value minus flux linkages of initial value divided by time. So that is, we are getting the resultant value of, you can say that the flux linkage is n into phi, or you can say that when you take the n common, you will get phi 2 minus phi 1. So that will be your resultant flux, you can say that. And when you are putting the differentiation form for this equation, then you can say that it is E is equal to, or E is proportional to d n phi by dt, where phi is equal to your resultant flux of phi 2 minus phi 1, and it is the constant value, so we will take common. It is not depending upon the time, or it will not change with respect to time, so that we are going to take outside, and that's why it is written E is proportional to d phi by dt. Now if we release the proportional parameter, then we have to write some constant parameter of k, and the k, if we are taking as a 1, then whatever the remaining equation it is we have of E is equal to n d phi by dt. But now you can say that it is with the minus sign, and minus sign is actually indicating it is the direction of the induced EMF, because this sign is actually indicating the direction of the induced EMF, and the direction of the magnetic field line, it will be opposite to each other, and that's why the minus sign is there, and that is equal according to the Lenz law. We will discuss about the Lenz law, and I will tell you about the Fleming right hand rule also, that why the minus sign will be there. But right now, this is, you can say that the second law stated that E is equal to minus n d phi by dt. So remember this second law, which is stated over here in form of equation. Now, I hope up to here it is clear to all of you. Is there any question here? Up to here, is there any question you have in your mind? Please let me know so I can solve your question, solve your doubt. Okay. Now, the direction, whatever it is represented in the previous part, that it is represented over here. Just a second. Yeah. So, the direction of the induced EMF, the topic we have, and that we are going to discuss right now. The rules, it is particularly suitable to find the direction of the induced EMF, and hence the current when conductor moves at the right angle to the stationary magnetic field. And that is actually indicating that when you have the conductor, and that conductor, when you place in the magnetic field, the EMF is induced in that conductor. Once your conductor, it is in the closed loop path, the current will flow in, because you have the EMF is nothing but the, we can say that the voltage in form of, and if your circuit is completed or your conductor is in the closed loop path, then you can say that the current will be start to flow in the that conductor. So that is actually indicating here, but you can say that that current direction, it is, you have a right angle to the stationary magnetic field. So whatever the stationary magnetic field you have, with that right angle position, you will identify the direction of the current. So this is based on this statement, that every action causes an equal and opposite reaction. So this is not truly only for the mechanics, but it is also proved over here with the electromagnetism also. So this is because of the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction principle, that will give us the magnitude of induced EMF, and that direction of the induced EMF will be determined by the two law or two rules, Lenz law, and you can say that the Fleming right hand rule. Now this component, it is indicating what that we are going to discuss now. What do you mean by Lenz law and what do you mean by Fleming right hand rule? So first of all, Lenz law stated what? The direction of an induced EMF, it is always such that it tends to set up a current opposing the motion, or you can say that change of the flux responsible for induced that EMF. So that indicating the Lenz law, as I mentioned earlier also, that the direction of the induced EMF, right? It is, you can say that, and the magnetic field line direction when it is opposite to each other, that is statement given by the, you can say that, the Lenz law. So whatever statement given here, that is the direction of the induced EMF is always such that it will tends to set up the current who will opposing the motion, or you can say that the change of flux responsible, or you can say that the change of flux, you can say that, according to the magnetic field, that will be responsible for inducing the EMF into the conductor. So that is the our Lenz law. Now you have the alternate method over here of the Lenz law to determine the relative direction, which is given by the Fleming right hand rule. So what is the another method? What is the statement that we will see now? See, Fleming right hand rule, that is indicating the three, you can say that, the directions over here. I will show you the complete diagram here so you can understand very well. So you can just focus on the picture here, that the first finger, it is indicating the magnetic field direction. The second finger, it is indicating that the current direction, and the thumb is indicating the motion of conductor. So based on that, if you see the second diagram given here, which is stated what, you have a two magnet here. So in this one, first of all, tell me that the magnets are stationary or rotating. According to this diagram, can you tell me that these magnets are represented here, it is stationary or it is rotating or it is moving? Yes, you can use the chat box section also. The magnets which are represented here in this diagram, NS, they are rotating or they are fixed or they are stationary. Yes, they are stationary. Exactly. See, the magnets are stationary here, and the magnetic field line of force, you can say that it is from north to south here. When you can put your conductor with the direction of the force, or you can say that that is with respect to, you can say that, the moving around this magnetic field, you will have a magnetic field direction from N to S. You will have a force direction of the force in the upward side, that means the motion of conductor. So at right angle place, you will identify the direction of the current which is inside the conductor. So you can see here, this is the direction of the current indicated over here, it is incoming, or you can say that along with this, you will identify the direction of current. Are you getting? This is what we call the Fleming right hand rule, to identify the direction of the current inside the conductor, or you can say that it will, you can say that, induced EMF in the conductor. Are you getting up to here? Are you getting up to here? Is there any question? Please let me know. So shall we go ahead now? If you understand up to here, Lenz's law and Fleming right hand rule. Okay, so now we will continue here. The induced EMF. So, according to the electromagnetic induction principle and Faraday's law of the statement, we identify both first one and second one, right? Now, now you can say that the change in the flux linkages. Okay, there are two ways we identify here. First, you can say that when the conductor or the coil it is moved in the stationary magnetic field, that is we call the dynamically induced EMF. And second one, that the conductor or coil it is stationary and the magnetic field is changing. That means you can say that either your conductor or coil will be stationary, and you can say that either you will have the magnetic field it is changing or stationary. So according to that, it is identified dynamically induced EMF or statically induced EMF. So these are the two statement, and these two statement we will see one by one with the graphical representation as well as some specifications what we had in the our this topic. Okay, so now if I'm showing you first one, it is the dynamically induced EMF. What do you mean by dynamically induced EMF? In this one, the field is stationary, but the coil or the current, coil or the conductor is moving or it is changing. So that is what we call the dynamically induced EMF. Now, in this representation, you can see here in this diagram, this are the lines which is representing the magnetic fields of line. These lines are representing what? It is the magnetic field of line. And this is what we have the conductor which is rotating or which is in the moving path with the direction given here. See, capital B. What do you mean by capital B? Can anybody tell me? Because I think we had discussed four lectures in of this chapter. So everywhere in the topic we had this terminology of capital B. So can you tell me that what do you mean by B? What do you mean by capital B? It is the magnetic flux density. Exactly. And the V is indicating actually the velocity. That I will tell you how it is there. This is our first diagram. Now you have to consider that whatever the conductor is there in the magnetic field having a length L, this is what you have, the length of the conductor, right, which is inside the magnetic field, right? The second diagram, it is indicated here that the magnetic field, you can see that the direction in the first diagram, which is perpendicular or parallel to the magnetic field. Can you tell me? In the first diagram, the magnetic field lines and the direction of that current or motion, it will be in the perpendicular one. What is in the second diagram? It is perpendicular one or not? Yes, it is parallel one, exactly. So this is what we have, the parallel one. But now if you see this third diagram, or we can say that the center diagram, what do you understand from this? It is having some angle with respect to your, you can say that the reference one. Are you getting what I'm telling you? See, this is your reference. The reference is what? Your stationary magnetic field. The magnetic field and lines of there, it is from down, it is, you can say that it is downward motion. It is indicated here. Now the direction of that motion, it is, you can say that having some angle with respect to that magnetic field. Okay, so based on this we can calculate the induced EMF in the conductor with and without the angle of theta. So that I will show you with the derivation in our next presentation, or you can say that presentation slide. So just a minute, now I'm going to share with you that derivation, that how we can identify the induced EMF based on this magnetic flux density, velocity, length of conductor. So now I will show you that one. So you have to consider right now that if the conductor will move by a distance of dx in the time of dt, so you can say that we identify that some definite time of the magnitude, or we can say that the distance and the time over here, which is dx and dt. So whatever the area which is swept by the conductor in this dt time, that is given here, it is equal to L into dx. What do you mean by L? L is equal to length of the conductor which is laying within the magnetic field, and dx, it is the distance, how much it is traveled or it is going to be moved by the conductor. So we will have the area right now, or area which is swept by the conductor dt, or sorry, in time of dt, that is equal to L into dx. Okay, now the magnetic flux, it is cut by the conductor. Magnetic flux, it is cut by the conductor. So that flux is equal to phi, is equal to, we can say that b into L dx. Just a second. Yeah, so whatever the flux, the representation here, that actual equation is equal to what? Phi is equal to b into a is equal to what? The area, and that area which is we identify here in terms of L into dx, this is what we have, capital A. This is what we have, capital A, area. So that we are going to put here, because the flux equation is equal to what? Flux is equal to b into L dx component. So since the conductor, you can say that it is the part of the coil of 1 ton, because in the, you can say that the diagram we have represented only one conductor which is placed in the magnetic field. So n is equal to 1 we consider in the flux linkages equation. So the flux linkage equation, psi is equal to n into phi, number of turns, and the flux which is produced by that number of the turns. You can say that it is the product of both the component of n and phi. So it is equal to bl dx component, and the time whatever it is taken, that the final, you can say that it is a total time, it is t now. So what is the our equation of, you can say that induced emf, E is equal to d psi by dt. So according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction principle, the rate of change of flux linkages d psi by dt, and d psi by dt, that is psi is equal to n into phi. So phi is equal to what, bl dx component, and as the b and l which is not, you can say that change with respect to time, so that we are going to taking outside. So only the distance parameter we are going to take over here with the differentiation form with respect to time, and that dx by dt, that is we call the velocity of the conductor. So it is equal to meter per second, the unit, the velocity. So now according to the Faraday's law of second law, the induced emf, it is equal to the rate of change of flux with respect to time, or d psi by dt, you can say that d psi by dt. And when we are going to put this d psi by dt value of blv into the equation, then we will get the final value of induced emf. This is what we identify right now, that the conductor, whenever it is going to be moved in the magnetic field, at that time we will get this magnitude of, we can say that blv, magnetic flux density, length of the conductor, and the velocity of the conductor. So are you getting up to here? Is there any question you have? Please write in the chat box section. Do you have any questions here? Now if we consider the angle part, because in the previous diagram I show that if we consider there is an angle between the reference is what, your magnetic flux line. So now if you consider this phenomenon, this is your reference, just clearly see this thing, this is your reference, and this is your, you can say that the direction. Now having an angle of theta here, so now can we say that with reference, this component having a two component, one with the cos and one another with the sine. Are you getting my point or not? If you're not getting the thing, please let me know. I'm saying again this thing, that suppose you have a reference here, right? This is your reference, and this is your component of, we can say that this is, you have the direction, and both having an angle of phi, sorry, angle of theta, not phi, angle of theta. Now this component, if you separate out, can we say that it is a two component we have now? One is the cos component and another is the sine component. So over here, which component is represented, cos or sine? Can you tell me? Yes, it is cos component. And where we have to represent the sine component? Can we say it is perpendicular one over here? So this is, you can say that this is, you have a sine component here, and cos component which is parallel to the magnetic line of force or field. Yes or no? So now we will discuss that here. Just a second. So suppose suppose a conductor A will move at an angle of theta to the direction of the magnetic field, that is according to our figure B, that is the center one, right? If the conductor will move by a distance of dx in the time of dt, that is the same parameter what we discussed in the previous part, right? So if the conductor will move by a distance of dx in time of dt, and that component of the distance travel at a right angle to the field, right angle to the field, that means can we say that is the perpendicular to the our magnetic line of force? Yes or no? Yes or no? The question what I asked, that as it is given here that the component of the distance travel at right angle, so can we say that it is, you can say that the perpendicular with respect to the magnetic line of force? Are you getting or not what I'm saying? So that component of the conductor we identify in terms of dx sine theta. As you see, the distance it is traveled at a right angle, so distance that we have considered, that is a dx component, and at the right angle side, that means the sine theta component will be there. Okay, so now the area it is swept by the conductor, if you identify from this, then it is equal to what, L into dx sine theta, because as we identify that the area it is swept by the conductor, earlier it is L dx component, but right now we identify with respect to angle, to the right angle, we can say that to the field, so it is dx sine theta now, L dx sine theta, and whatever the flux it is cut by the conductor, that is phi is equal to b into a. So phi is equal to what, b into L dx sine theta, and rate of change of flux with respect to time, that d psi by dt it is equal to n phi, psi is equal to what, n into phi. But right now that n is equal to 1 because you have only one conductor in the magnetic field right now, so we can directly write that d phi by dt and phi is equal to what, bl dx sine theta. So bl as we taken as a common quantity, and dx by dt that we also identified in the previous slide, that is equal to velocity of the conductor, which is meter per second. So we can directly identify that E, that is the induced EMF of the conductor inside this, we can say that magnetic field, that induced E is equal to BLV sine theta. So this is our final equation here of induced EMF, and that is, you can say that it is a dynamically induced EMF equation. This is what we have, the magnitude, and this will identify the position. Are you getting up to here? So this is what we call the induced EMF equation or dynamically induced EMF equation. Now if we go ahead, statically induced EMF. Now what do you mean by statically induced EMF? In this one, the conductor or the coil will be stationary, but the magnetic field will be changes. It is not like that the conductor will move in the dynamical induced EMF like that the flux is or it is going to be moved, but the we can say that the magnitude will be changes according to the requirement, and we can say that we can identify the induced EMF into the conductor which is stationary now, and that's why it is we call the stationary induced EMF. So the EMF induced by the variation of the flux is termed as the statically induced EMF. So in this case, the conductor or the coil will be stationary. Only the flux will changes or field will be changes. According to that, the induced EMF will be there. That is we call a statically induced EMF. Now, this statically induced EMF, it is going to be classified in the further steps over here. The first one, you can say that it is a self-induced EMF, and second one, it is a mutually induced EMF. Now we'll discuss each and every induced EMF parameter of statically self and mutual one, right? So first of all, a self-induced EMF. Here we are going to represent with this diagram. So what do you understand from this diagram? What is in this diagram? Can you tell me? What do you understand from this diagram? What do you understand from this diagram? Just answer to my question. What is in this diagram? See over here, it is in this representation of the diagram, it is there. You have a one source here, one resistance which is variable one. This is a magnetic core, and on the magnetic core the number of conductors are to be wound, that is in the, you can say that the number of turns will be there or the coil will be there. Now when you supply the voltage from this battery source, the current will start to flow, and you can say that according to that, once the current is flowing from this, you can say that the magnetic coil, oh sorry, number of turns, at that time the mmf or you can say that the flux will be produced. The field line will also, you can observe here in this diagram. Once you change the magnitude of the current either through the battery source or from the resistance which is given here, you can change the magnetic field direction, or you can say that the magnitude of the flux can be changed here. So that is, you can say that the induced EMF in the conductor because of this flux which is we known as self-induced EMF. So if the current through the coil is changed by changing the value of voltage or resistance, you can see that, right? the flux linking with the coil also change. So that you can say that whatever the flux has been set up in this magnetic core, and the magnetic field line of, you can say that force is also given here. So whenever it is linked with the coil, that is also going to be changed. So this change in the flux will induce TMF in the coil according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction principle, right? Okay, so this is what it is observed here. The third sentence, if I'm say here, that the EMF induced in the coil due to the change of the flux produced by it, and it is, or you can say that it is linking with the its own turns. So it is we call the self-induced EMF. So whatever the induced EMF in the coil will be there due to the change of the flux which is produced by it, and it will link with its own number of the turns. There is no other turns you can observe here in this diagram. So that is, you can say that the self-induced EMF we can say. Are you getting? Is there any confusion here in this self-induced EMF? Okay. So if we go ahead, see the self-induced EMF, or we can say that according to the Faraday's law, the rate of change of flux linking with the coil depending upon the rate of change of current in the coil. So we can say that whatever the amount of the current is changing, right, with respect to time, and whatever the amount of flux it is going to be produced, so that you can say that with respect to time quantity we are going to identify here to identify the induced EMF. So the magnitude of this self-induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of current with respect to time. So that's why it is written E is proportional to di by dt. But when you identify, or you can say that when you release this proportional quantity, then you can say that you will write E is equal to L di by dt. That is we call the self-induced EMF equation. So L, it is we call the coefficient of the self inductance or the self inductance of the coil, because we are talking about the core, and on the core we have the coil. So there will be some inductance of that coil, and that is represented with the capital L. So remember the equation of the self induced EMF, that's E is equal to L di by dt. Are you getting up to here? So this is equation we used here to identify the self-induced EMF. And remember that the rate of change of flux linking with the coil, that is depending upon that how much amount of the current you will supply through that coil with respect to time. So that's why it is directly written here that the E is equal to, or the self-induced EMF equation, E is equal to di by dt, or it is proportional to di by dt. When you release the proportional, you will identify the self inductance of the coil or the coefficient of the self inductance. So that is you written capital L di by dt, and that is the self induced EMF equation. Now after this, the mutual induced EMF, if you identify, consider a coil 1. Now you have a two coil here. In the previous case you have only one coil on the core, and you will supply it by the battery source, and as well as you will connect the variable resistance in the series with that battery. Now if you have two coils, you can see here, In this one you will have a two coil, one coil which is supplied by the battery source, just like the our previous case. So first coil you will have the N1 number of the turns, the coil 2 having the N2 number of the turns. The coil 1 is supplied by the from the battery source, right, using the switch, as well as you will have a variable resistance here. So when the current is flowing in the circuit 1 as I1, this will produce the flux phi 1 in the coil 1. So it is talking here about this part. Over here you can say that there is a switch. So when I start to flowing the current inside the coil 1, it will induce, or you can say that it is producing the flux phi 1 into the coil 1, we having N1 number of the turns. So out of this flux, most of the flux, you can say that it is the phi 1 which is linked with the other coil also. And if the current through that coil 1 is changed, it changed the flux in the other coil also. So it is only, you can say that it is totally depends upon that how much the supply or current you will passing through the coil 1. Because whatever the, you can say that the total flux you will supply, most of the flux which is linked with the another coil or coil 2. So once you change the current value into the coil 1, it will reflected into the coil 2 also. Are you getting? So this is the form of the representation given here. Now the derivation part. So first of all, understand that whatever the change of the current in the coil 1, once you change the current, you will change the flux or the flux produced in the coil 1. So once the coil 1 having the flux will be changed or it will be produced, and it will be linked with the flux 2, or sorry, it will be linked with the coil 2, and the coil 2 will induced or it will produce the EMF. So this kind of the EMF we call the mutually induced EMF, because you can see this in this diagram. In the coil 2 having the N2 number of the turns, which is connected with the galvanometer to identify the deflection, right, that the induced EMF will be there or not in the coil 2. So once the coil 1 which is supplied by the source, the current will be there and the flux will be produced. So that flux will be linked with the coil 2 and the EMF will be induced inside the that coil 2. So that will be identify the deflection over here by the galvanometer. But that the induced EMF, which is we call the mutually induced EMF, because it will be not supplied by the own source, it will be the just flux which is linked, and that is the mutual effect, we can say that. So that is mutually induced EMF. So the magnitude of this mutually induced EMF, it is directly proportional to the rate of change of current of the coil 1. So everything you can say that it is depending upon the coil 1 current flowing. So that is why it is directly proportional written here, that E2 it is proportional to. Okay, so that is, you can say that E2 proportional to di1 dt, dy1 by dt, and E2 is equal to m di1 by dt. So that m is equal to mutual inductance. Are you getting up to here? Are you getting up to here? Is there any question you will have? Please write it in the chat box section also. So what is the difference between AL and M? AL, that is indicating the self inductance, right? And AM is equal to mutual inductance. And right now we discussed about the mutually induced EMF, and previously we discussed about self induced EMF. So now we can go ahead with your discussion here. See, the self inductance, it is represented here also with just classification, or sorry, which is identified here with this diagram, that do you have a core, and this is, you can say that the inner core material, you have a cross sectional area, and the number of the turns which is wound on the core, you can say that the length of the number of turns you can have, or sorry, length of the coil you have, small l. So once you apply the voltage to the coil, the current will be passing through that coil, and you can say that the flux will be produced. Now the property of the coil that oppose any change in the amount of the current flowing through it, it is we call the self inductance or the inductance. That is, you can say that a simple definition given here, that the property of the coil that oppose any change in the amount of the current flowing through it, it is we call the self inductance or the inductance of the circuit. So if the current in the coil increases, the self-induced EMF is set up in such a direction so as to oppose the rise of current. So as we also discussed in the previous part about the induced EMF also, so that sentence is given here, that if you increasing the value of current, you can say that the self-induced EMF which is set up inside the coil, which is you can say that in such a way that the direction is so as to oppose the rise of the current. So now the direction of the self-induced EMF is, which is opposite to the, you can say that the applied voltage, because it is opposite to the rise of the current, and that's why the direction of the self-induced EMF is, you can say that, opposite to the applied voltage here. That is, you can say that the property. So right now you can say that about the self inductance. According to this diagram, now we will derive the equations here. So we'll just identify the notation that N is equal to total number of the turns, L is equal to length of the coil, inner core material we have the cross section area A, current we passing through I, and V is the applied voltage. So consider that coil of N turns, or number of N turns you have carrying the current of I ampere. If the current in the coil changes, the flux linking or flux linkages will also changes. That we already derived, right? So this will set up and self-induced EMF in the coil. So according to the Faraday's law, E is equal to minus N d phi by dt, right? And you can say that why the minus sign is there, because already we discussed here in the previous part, right, that whatever the property of the coil that will oppose any change in the amount of the current flowing through it, that is we call self inductance. As we discussed also the self induced EMF in the previous part, that whatever the induced EMF according to the Faraday's law, we also identify that minus sign with the N d phi by dt. So that is applied here also. So it is E is equal to minus N d phi by dt, and d phi by dt, it is just separate out with the, or it is just rearranged here, that d phi by di multiplied by di by dt. So for the coil of non-magnetic core, the flux is directly proportional to the current. That is, you can say that the saturation is neglected, or because of the linear BH curve. That what is the magnetizing curve, that I will show you, right? But d phi by di, that is, you can say that the flux, or for the non-magnetic material core, the flux is proportional to the value of current. That is because of the property of the magnetic material. So d phi by d phi by di is equal to what, phi by I, and that we are going to put here. So now if you put the phi by I here, then the equation what we written here, that is n phi by I, that is, you can say that the mmf per current, and that is we identify here that we notify here, it is in terms of a self inductance L. So the equation it is written here, E is equal to the induced EMF equal to minus L di by dt. That is, you can say that the equation of the induced EMF or the self induced EMF is equal to minus sign, that is because of the opposite sign. And we can say that L di by dt, L, that is the inductance or self inductance, right? And I di by dt, so the current with respect to change, or sorry, change of the current with respect to time. So it is the ratio given here. So all thing, this is based on the property of the coil, which is say that the it will oppose any change in the amount of the current flowing through it. So that will, you can say that, identify with this opposite sign and with the minus sign in the our final equation. And the second sentence said that over here, which is the same thing, that if the coil current is going to be increasing, the self-induced EMF which is set up inside the coil, and the direction of, we can say that, will be opposite to the current. So that opposite, it is indicated over here with the minus sign in this equation. Are you getting up to here? Are you getting or not? So if you have any question, you can write in the chat box section. Now it is time to put your enrollment number into the chat box section quickly. So everybody just write down your enrollment number into the chat box section quickly. So in the next session, we will discuss about, after this self inductance, we will discuss the another, yeah, the complete, we will complete this self inductance part, right? And then after some notation we identify here, then after we'll go for the mutual inductance and its derivation part. Then after we'll discuss about the coefficient of the coupling, right? So this in the next session we will discuss this thing. And I hope you got the mid-sem 1 syllabus, right? I already posted yesterday in your WhatsApp group. I also uploaded in the Google Classroom, so you can identify from that also. So I hope you have written your enrollment number in the chat box section. Those who have written their enrollment number, they can leave the session now. If you have any question, then you can write into the chat box section. Okay, Narendra, you can just WhatsApp me your email ID. Okay, I will check it. I will re-invite you. Just send me your email ID, institute email ID in the WhatsApp. Okay, there you are you having any question? If you don't have any question, you can leave the session now. There you are, Raj, Ronak. So I think nobody having any question here. So we can end the meeting for all. Thank you all.